Okay, but first, the art of Dr. Peter Edmison's dentistry.
The appliance itself looks to be holding up really well.
A dental office may seem an unlikely place to find one of the capital's most passionate adventurists. But here he is.
Well, I'm really pleased the appliance is working and the quality of sleep has improved.
For more than 40 years, Peter Edmison has been a dentist, a job he was born to do.
Ever since I was in public school, I announced that I was going to be a dentist, and that was the end of the discussion. And I used to get quite annoyed at the guidance counselors every year. They'd say, "What do you want to do? What do you want to see?" And I say, "I told you before, I'm going to be a dentist." And I went into dentistry and really enjoyed it.
He still enjoys it, now just one day a week, treating patients who have problems with snoring and sleep apnea.
It's very, very rewarding. And it's not often in dentistry that I would get a hug from somebody after I'd restored a tooth, and I'd frequently have a patient give me a big hug and say, "Thank you, I haven't slept with my husband for 5 years." Said, "This is just wonderful."
And how do you treat people? What is it that you do?
There are several things that a dentist can use. Most of the time we use an oral appliance which moves the bottom jaw forward, and when the bottom jaw comes forward, the tongue comes forward, and it prevents the tongue from falling into the back of the mouth when you sleep. I'm really enjoying the snoring and sleep apnea part of my career.
For Peter, it's always been about balance, knowing when to work and when to play.
A lot of my friends claim that I always established that balance, highly weighted towards having fun, and I can't argue with that.
Well, have a good run. Enjoy it.
Perhaps the best cure for snoring is to try to keep up with this man on the move.
Nothing better than teasing gravity.
Being outside has always been a tonic for Peter's inside.
I started off skiing at Camp Fortune. When you had to ski into Camp Fortune, you couldn't drive in. So that takes you back to the very late 40s, early 50s. And I never competed, I just skied for the love of it and for the love of skiing, of teasing gravity. I just get such a big kick out of controlling gravity. I did get a little bit bored with downhill skiing, so I decided I would learn to telemark ski. Your heel is free, and it's pretty interesting feeling, but over the years I learned how to do that. That's where the last 10 years have been spent, and I go out west and I've done a little bit of helicopter skiing and a little bit of cat skiing, but my first love is ski touring, where you climb up the hill and then you ski down. And I was fortunate enough to run into a very, very competent guide. The biggest day I ever had, we climbed 12,000 feet in one day. So that's a little more than 2 miles, straight up, and skied down.
When not skiing in the mountains, you're likely to find Peter climbing them, scaling the challenging faces of Canada, or tackling the inspiring paths and peaks of Nepal.
Same guide actually got me rock climbing. I started to rock climb when I was in my early 50s. And we've done most of the big peaks in the Canadian West. In Nepal, I was exposed to the Nepalese people, who are just absolutely beautiful people. And we spent many an afternoon and a night in very remote little villages where they had nothing. And they were the happiest people. There'd be 2 and 3 generations living in a small little house with a mud floor and maybe 1 or 2 rooms. And their life was complete. We lived in tents for the whole time, 5 weeks. We climbed high and slept low, and we ended up at 21,500 feet.
And now, the man always up for an adventure has found another.
Hi, Joe. I'm going to sneak across the hall. Will you come and get me when the next patient comes?
Don't be too long.
I promise.
It's a journey just across the hall, where Peter can wander into creative territory and reflect on all the possibilities.
We spent some time in Corning, New York, and I got fascinated with glass and the technical parts of glass. And I've just had lots of fun experimenting with different things, and all of a sudden the creative side of me started to come out. It's fused glass, and basically you take pieces of glass, sometimes big, sometimes small, and you assemble them into a form that you think might be enjoyable to look at, and you put it in the kiln and you stand back and wait. And it's always exciting when you open the kiln and it's either worked or it hasn't worked.
That it works at all is exciting for Peter. Growing up, art was never his first love.
My art teacher from high school is one of my favorite patients, and he used to pull his hair out at me because I showed no interest or inclination. I was really good at making spitballs, but that's about as far as my interest went.
But his capable hands, even his dental tools, have helped lift his glass art to new heights.
I've been really pleased. I've been able to use cast-offs and second-hands and tools that weren't designed for glass, and it's working very, very well. I almost think that I'm carrying it to a new level because of the skills that I learned in dentistry. I'm comfortable working with small detail. So everything that I've done and everything I've been exposed to, including some of my mountain experiences, have contributed to either the technical side or the art side of what I'm doing. When I'm outside, I'm always looking at Mother Nature and how she puts colors together and forms together. I like action, and I like shadows, and there's a lot of snow in some of my images. Skiing is a big part. My more recent images are viewable from both sides, and the newest one actually has 3 images in one, and I have a skier, and then I have layers of fog in front of the skier, and depending on which way you view it, there are 3 totally separate images. So I think I've learned how to manage some of the more interesting qualities. There's certainly a lot more to learn, and that's the fun part about it.
In many ways, Peter's glasswork is an apt metaphor for how he lives his life. When you have the right combination of elements, the complementary color and texture, the perfect timing, the ideal balance, everything turns out as your heart desires.
I'm very, very, very lucky. I'm 66 now, and yeah, I can ski as much as I want, and I can rock climb, and I can ice climb, and I can roll around on the floor with my grandkids and piggyback them if they want, and I'm just really, really lucky. I'm just so comfortable with where I am that it all seems natural, and yet when I stand back, I realize how lucky I am. So it's a good life.